I'm Marc, one of the co-founders and maintainers of Langfuse. Really excited to have you here for this quarter's town hall. For people who join for the first time, we as Langfuse do these town halls once a quarter to give you all an update about the roadmap, to present the latest releases of the last quarter, and then have lots of time for Q&A about the future of the project or any kinds of feature requests that you have or big pressing questions. Generally, we are super available. We are very much available via GitHub at all times, or via the dedicated support channels that you have if you are on Langfuse Cloud or use Langfuse commercially. But yeah, this town hall usually at the end has lots of time for Q&A. So please make use of it and add any question that you have via the Q&A tool that you can find on the bottom right of Google Meet. So you can just open meeting tools, open Q&A, and add questions down there in the bottom right, so we can have a really nice Q&A at the end of the session. Overall, this is the rough agenda. I'll do a quick introduction again, then share what we are really excited about, the overall growth in recent months. We'll do a quick recap of all the latest releases. So if you've been using Langfuse for quite a while, you get to see everything that's new in one concise, I'll try to keep it short, 5 to 10 minute section of me trying to demo everything live that we shipped in Q2 that's notable. Then I'll briefly touch on the evolution of Langfuse and the focus areas for Q3, and then we'll go through the Q3 roadmap that we just published. And then we have lots of time for Q&A, feedback on the roadmap, wishlist items, whatever you find interesting. For everyone who's joining now, the session is recorded. You can always mention something via the chat or by adding questions to the Q&A. If you unmute yourself, you'll be part of the recording. This is much encouraged, but I just want to let you know that you don't end up in a public video by accident. So high level, how you can contribute best to Langfuse is basically via langfuse.com/ideas and share your feature requests there, because these really shape the roadmap that we discussed today. And langfuse.com/support is our public support forum on GitHub, where all maintainers participate to get your questions answered that then feed into langfuse.com/askai, so the Ask AI widget on our website, which then is really helpful to it's crazy. It supports tens of thousands of messages without maintainers being in the loop, which is really helpful for all onboarding feedback and questions. There's a quick update on stats and team. Since last quarter, we've grown a lot. We are 10 people now, hiring across sales, go-to-market, but especially engineering, where engineering is focused on Berlin and all go-to-market roles in San Francisco. If you know someone that's interested to join the mission of building developer tools and open source that help teams ship working LM agents, please let us know. I couldn't be more excited to work on something than working on Langfuse. So this is really exciting. Also, every individual that joined last quarter is exceptional. So I'm really excited about this. Also, metrics-wise, by now, Langfuse SDKs are installed over 7 million times a month. We've amassed over 6 million Docker pulls, crossed the 13,000 GitHub stars, and continue to work with amazing teams in startups and big tech companies. So yeah, the stats check-in that we do at the beginning of every town hall, I couldn't be more excited to just see everything growing really nicely to the top and right, as we like to say. Then now comes the fun part of basically hopefully 10-15 minutes of demoing all of the latest releases of Q2. So if you've missed something, now's the time to catch up on everything that happened within Langfuse. I'll just give it a go and basically go through this list. One, Langfuse is open source, but there's from the beginning has always been a pro tier of Langfuse. So some features where if you self-host Langfuse, you're required to have a license. In Q2, we decided to open source way more of the product. So by now, the core Langfuse Pro features are all available within the open source section of Langfuse, and only very, very few APIs that are geared towards large enterprise deployments remain, because our focus is on Langfuse Cloud and building a great open source product. So yeah, I'm really excited about this change, and I'm really excited also about the great feedback that we got from the community on this change. If you're interested to learn more, we've wrote a whole blog post on why we did this and why we are super excited about this and why we think this is the best for the future of the project. Second, also related, While Langfuse is open source, we want Langfuse Cloud to be the easiest, simplest, and most economical way to use Langfuse. So we introduced graduated pricing, meaning Langfuse Cloud is mostly priced based on usage, and we want to share the economies of scale that we have in running like a large Langfuse cluster by basically offering volume discounts at scale, where pricing just decreases massively if you use Langfuse a lot. Thereby, we basically are able to work with teams self-serve on Langfuse Cloud without someone needing to reach out and negotiate custom pricing. We just want to like be upfront and just share like good volume-based pricing with all of you. Then, like feature-wise, something if you were part of the last town hall, we shared like a sneak peek at the end of custom dashboards being released. Since then, this feature has grown a lot. We can like slice and dice your LLM tracing, evaluation data in custom ways, build custom charts, and one chart type that or maybe we can just create a chart. So we can do trace, counts. Let's say we want total cost, the sum over time to just see what this whole thing costs us over the last month maybe. And now like a recent addition has been that we now also support pivot tables and histograms. If you want to drill deeper or get a sense of the distribution, for example, when picking histograms now, we can easily take total cost of the application. Maybe let's take like latency, the P95, and then we can group it by, for example, let's take, what's a good one? Environment. I think in this example, we only have one, like by the release. And now for releases where we use GitHub commit hashes, you now see how much like dollar amount and latency we see in production. This is like super custom. Many teams do like breakdowns on latency by model or cost by model. So yeah, these custom dashboards are really powerful. In addition, we also exposed all of these metrics and the metrics service that we've built via an API. So you can use these metrics downstream in your own applications for rate limiting, for budgeting. Some people do like billing for their customers on top of these APIs. So you can use the metrics API and get all of these events and metrics out of this API endpoint. This is like an extension of the now legacy daily metrics API, which just returned like a single like aggregation. So now you have like a flexible way to query all Langfuse data and metrics. Then in addition, one huge change was the latest Python SDK version 3, which now uses OpenTelemetry as a transport and for instrumentation. Big lift. Overall, the whole space is moving to OpenTelemetry, and we are very excited about it because this like increases interoperability across integrations. And integration is super important for us. Like when you look at the latest like integration section, we want Langfuse to be the most open and well-integrated solution in this space. This really aligns with our like vision, mission, positioning. So OpenTelemetry is great here because, for example, I think down here with like third-party integrations, if we, for example, take the instrumentation for Anthropic, like the official one from OpenTelemetry, like it only takes Anthropic instrument at the top of the file, and automatically all of the Anthropic client interactions are logged as generations to Langfuse spans. So this is really the power of OpenTelemetry, that this like unlocks all of these community contributions and integrations. And we will continue to invest more time into like documenting most of them, or the most interesting ones of them. Then another big lift this quarter was full text search on traces. So for example, here we see the word demo, and maybe we now want to see everyone who looked for demo over the last week. So we can now hit demo, select full text search, and thereby get to see all of the traces that include the word demo somewhere within the inputs and outputs, which might be helpful to dig deeper into a problem if just like full text search helps here. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. It was a big lift by Max from the team. Then evaluation got a huge upgrade where we introduced the evaluator library that now features Langfuse managed evals, the Ragas evals, which are focused at RAG, and you can also create like your custom evals. And a lot of the UI has changed where, for example, we now have like a default evaluation model that really simplifies things. And when you set up a new evaluator, it's way easier now to actually insert like data from traces into these evals, because in the end, Langfuse evals are evaluation prompts by Elm as a judge. And now the question is how to insert from the full query context into the trace. So you can get a preview, see how we here map the trace input to query, but maybe now we want to fetch context. So we can take span, I think here it's retrieval output, and then validate our mapping by looking at how we here inserted the rag retrieval output into this eval. So this is now set up well for evaluating context relevance. Nice. Then we extended the playground as we now get to the prompt management section of the demo, where the playground now supports message placeholders, which are basically, for example, let's call it history, where then within, I'll quickly show you the docs. Let me just get started. 1 second. I need to share my screen. Well, basically then at runtime, you can include message placeholders as a history. So if we, for example, here have a prompt with a variable, but also with like chat history as like one example for a placeholder, then Langfuse prompt management includes like basically like one position within the array where then the whole chat history is inserted, in addition to variables that are inserted into a single chat message. This works across Python, JavaScript, and our like LangChain transformation functions. Then Langfuse prompts now also supports webhooks, so you can be notified of any changes that are made to prompts. This includes creating new prompt versions, but also like changing labels or tags, which can be helpful to, for example, then replicate prompts to your own repository, or like invalidating some kind of like logic somewhere, or triggering experiments that you run within your own pipelines based on prompt versions. So whatever you want to do based on changes made to prompts, you can now set up webhooks for these, where by default it's like create, update, delete, and it'll just like call your own webhook. You can create custom headers, and you'll get a secret to validate that this is actually coming from Langfuse. If you have any feedback about this, please let us know. This is a very new capability, and also roadmap-wise, we plan to extend this to other event sources outside of prompts. Then super small thing, but Langfuse prompt management now has folders. So when we create a new prompt, and for example, say it's like foo hi test prompt, and now create a new prompt. Basically, if foo is like the slash notation in the path, then this shows up as a folder with Langfuse prompt management, which is we got like so much feedback on people want prompt folders, because if once you start like managing hundreds of prompts within Langfuse, like folders or some kind of like namespacing makes it way easier to manage them. Then prompt management now works also when you use initn to build agents in no code. So if you're a user of initn, you can now fetch prompts from Langfuse. Currently, this is a community node. I just got an email that it was approved for like initn Cloud, and will be in the next release. I think it's this week or next week. So yeah, you can now use prompts within initn as well if you want to collaborate on prompts in like some UI and then use them within initn. Then we shipped an experiment, which is like the auto install. So basically, setting up Langfuse tracing can take some time depending on how large your code base is. And we built a Langfuse docs MCP server, which exposes the search Langfuse docs tool that then basically does rag on, like rag without the generation, so search on our documentation and GitHub discussions, and exposes them to your own coding agent. So for example, in Cursor, it's like a single click to install the MCP server. And then we have some agent prompt, which we recommend to get started with, which basically like has some stepwise implementation of like checking for compatibility, discovering which kinds of integrations you use or which libraries, and then checking which Langfuse integration points might work for your code base. If you have any feedback on this, let us know. This is pretty much better, but on the examples that we tested it worked really well. Then this quarter, we also invested a lot again into making self-hosting Langfuse easier. So by now, there are the Helm charts, the Terraform templates are all like generally available, and like a service that we semantically version, maintain. If you ever have any feedback on like the self-hosting section of Langfuse, let us know. We are super happy to help. GitHub discussions, they're the best channel as we continuously improve this documentation. Then a small quality of life feature across all Langfuse tables. Like teams that use Langfuse a lot use these tables a lot to then slice and dice the data in interesting ways. And we now support saved table views to, for example, like with context search, to get back this kind of filter and share it with your team. So you can like copy a link, share it with a team, bookmark it, and thereby select common views that you need to view the data in Langfuse. So for example, here, the with context search view basically automatically applies the filter of tags any of with context to only show traces that have the with context tag applied. Then something on the compliance side for everyone working related to the US healthcare system, we like Langfuse Cloud is now HIPAA compliant, and like the BAA is available here via the security section, which is also brand new. So langfuse.com/security, you find all sorts of security information, which you usually need when like selecting Langfuse, onboarding onto Langfuse, or increasing basically the dependence on Langfuse. We try to be as transparent as possible. If you have any questions, please reach out to security@Langfuse or compliance@Langfuse, and we are very happy to help. But here, yeah, the HIPAA data region is available at hipaa.cloud.langfuse.com. You just need to sign up, review the BAA below, upgrade your plan, and you are ready to go to have like a HIPAA compliant Langfuse cloud organization. And finally, something more on the like management side, we now support provisioning, deprovisioning, project management via an admin API, which was also a very much requested feature by larger teams using Langfuse. So you can use Skim to provision, deprovision users, and the admin API, which uses the new organization scoped API keys to then manage projects, manage project API keys, and manage memberships of users in projects. Yeah, very excited about this, as some teams provision thousands of users into Langfuse instances, and this is really helpful to make this less tiring. Going back to my slides, this was the very brief demo of everything that happened in Langfuse in Q2. And now let's, after a brief look at the evolution of Langfuse, we can look into where we're going next. So basically, Langfuse started focused purely on tracing, because that's what we needed when we built our own agents, and when we started building developer tooling for teams that were like us back in 2023. Then very quickly we realized, like, based on tracing, like online evaluation and identifying which traces are really interesting is super helpful to then only look at like relevant traces of where users complained or where some quality indicator indicates that the trace is like an exception or error. Then prompt management got into the mix to help teams collaborate on prompting, especially between technical and non-technical users. Offline evals around data sets is like a huge feature set that we continue to build out to help benchmark LM applications and agents off of data sets that can be constructed synthetically or based on traces. And prompt experiments were one of our like first like in UI features geared to more non-technical users or users who like to iterate on prompts and then directly see whether things improve or regress. And like back last year in Q4, we made Langfuse really scalable via the Langfuse version 3 release. And this is still like the main evolution of Langfuse, because this year we increase lots of depth, because in the end, the core product areas of tracing, online evals, offline evals, prompt management is basically the core of what we do. And there's just so much to be built to like intertwine these features, make them work really well together, and make them really usable. So the focus is on increasing depth and then building great integration points into other open source projects that do other things really well. High level, what do we want to drive? We want to drive this continuous evaluation loop where teams build test data sets offline. So for development, build test data sets that represent what's going on in production, could be happy paths, edge cases, visual inputs, then can run experiments on these data sets in development to iterate on all sorts of configuration, prompts, agent abstractions, whatever basically crosses your mind and where you have like an idea of that you want to iterate on it, and then evaluate whether like things improve or regress, to then deploy to prod, capture real user data with Langfuse tracing, and then use online evals to identify which traces are interesting, look through traces to debug and reason about where the quality bottlenecks are, and then after manual review, add additional test cases to the data sets, fix issues, and then test them again on data sets. That's the overall workflow, and we just want to make it easier and easier with the things that we ship. High-level roadmap is still, we stay on course that we set out, because in the end, we texted so many of you at the beginning of the year, and close discussions with many of you throughout the recent weeks and months. And whenever you have feedback, feel free to always reach out via langfuse.com/ideas, via any kind of support channel that we have. Really want to know what's top of your mind. Our core agenda is focused on making Langfuse more useful for agents, which in our in our definition are basically longer running applications that do lots of tool calls and have some like memory limitations, and where it's like difficult to reason about the trace, as it's not like a workflow where you know what happens step by step, but it's more dynamic and thereby needs additional like tracing support. Evals, currently we have like a very open eval structure, and we want to make it more opinionated to help people get started more easily. So we'll deep dive on this. Prompt management is really a core piece of Langfuse, where there's always something that is to be expanded. And the core data platform, because you can build so many things on top of Langfuse that like how these different features then send data to each other. I don't know, trace coming in, we get an eval. Okay, based on the eval now, send this trace as like an input into a data set. Like these kinds of internal connective tissue features, but also then webhooks to Slack to get notified about like negative user reviews or like some kind of like security eval. All of these things are more in the data platform section. So these are the 4 main topics. And across many of them is more deeper multimodal support, especially in data sets and like prompt management. But like these are the core building blocks. How our process looks like is basically sifting through GitHub, and then all maintainers that own different parts of the product, we just do like some road mapping. Basically what you can see, I'll try to zoom in here. Let's see whether this works. Like this is the Q4 2024 roadmap. This was like, wait, zooming on slides is difficult. So this was like at the top, the Q4 2024 roadmap. This was Q1, this was Q2, and Q3 is so much bigger. So like I'm super excited to see the project grow and like everyone becoming extremely ambitious about roadmaps. So if there's something that's on top of your mind, please let us know. Yeah, I can't be more excited. So let's have a look. We just published basically the roadmap for this quarter, like our most updated view of where Langfuse is headed over the next weeks and months. As always, we have at the top this in progress section. So you can browse it at your own time after this call as well. Langfuse.com/roadmap, where we like sometimes update this section based on the most current view on where Langfuse is headed. Where currently in progress are more unified agent graphs across agent frameworks and custom agents. The same thing that we did for the Python SDK, so moving to OpenTelemetry as a transport for better instrumentation, we currently also do on our JS SDK. And maybe shout out, in case you run on .NET, Java, Go stacks, you can directly use the OpenTelemetry endpoint as well to instrument your application. So no need to use our API directly. You can use the OpenTelemetry endpoint, which makes it way easier to do these kinds of integrations in other technology stacks. On evaluations, we do many improvements to the core eval view, especially the comparison view of different experiments, and making it easier to annotate dataset experiments. This is just like the super short term of what's happening. And then this is the plan for the next weeks and month, where, as mentioned, agent observability is still extremely core to what we do with regards to new features. So the graph view will be unified on like a single trace view, but we also think about how to abstract a graph view that's usable across thousands or tens of thousands of traces to identify error patterns in a more visual way, because otherwise, like if you have hundreds of thousands or millions or billions of traces, it gets really, it gets tricky to derive insights from them. So we think turning traces into graphs in a meaningful way and then like aggregating them is a really great way to learn from the data at scale. We will introduce new span types for tool calls, but also for other nodes within the like agent execution to be able to annotate the trace in more meaningful ways and then find things in large traces, and we'll add more agent-focused evaluations to our evaluator library. In evaluation, which is the second most important topic on our roadmap, we want to launch rule-based evals and look into code-based evals that can run within Langfuse. Reminder, you can always run like fully custom evaluation pipelines by our API, and we have a notebook on how to do this. But we want to bring all of this custom evaluation logic into Langfuse. Then for our LM as a judge pipelines, we'll add more tracing to be able to debug and track the cost of these LM as a judge evals. So these will optionally or maybe by default create traces so you can see what's going on within LM as a judge within Langfuse. Then evaluating the evals is increasingly like an important topic among the teams that we work with. So building more UI and visualizations to correlate evals, see like confusion matrices, or see how like histograms overlap. So we have a couple of ideas regarding visualizing this problem to then build trust in evals, especially into the automated ones, and benchmark them to like manually labeled data. Then our current SDK is pretty low level, like the datasets API. So we are looking into a more high-level abstraction that makes it easier to get started, and extend both annotation queues and LM as a judge, both to the observation, but also the session level. Currently, both of them operate on the trace level. So we want to make it easier to like evaluate substeps of a trace, of an agent, but also like a session if it's like a conversation or a thread. So we want to apply both features on these two levels as well. In datasets, as mentioned, multimodality across these features, and also here in the playground, are core to our roadmap. And then extending the run comparison view, making it easier to bulk add traces to datasets from tracing. And which is closely related is like schema validation or transforms, because usually datasets are like a way more cleaned up version of what's happening within like production. And they might need to conform to some schema, or when like non-technical users or like a larger audience within a team should edit, update, and work with data sets, like having some schema validation is really helpful to keep them in order for experiments to work well. And yeah, we'll just expand folders also to data sets. Regarding Playground, we want to on the one hand, do multimodal support, as I already mentioned, but also tie it more closely to data sets to be able to compare things side by side and do experiments within the UI. Prompt management, currently you can link prompt usage to traces to then see which trace used a specific prompt. So when we, for example, go here, QA answer with context chat production, we can see the linked generations. And if we go in, look at the trace, basically here the generation, here at the right, we can see that it's linked to the QA answer with context chat prompt version 68. So this prompt here on the left. But the generation includes basically the full inlined version of the prompt. So basically including the user question. And what we want to do is basically decompose these in like generation spans. So in the end, to then allow it to just backtest a prompt. So make it prompt change and then just run it on the last 200 examples that you saw in prod to just see like a grid of what's going on. That's kind of what we want to achieve this quarter. And trying to find the roadmap again. So many tabs. I'll just open a new tab. Roadmap. Great. That's one thing. Then expand support for structured outputs and tool functions to prompt experiments, and do more in-UI export imports, because we learned that some teams with like more regulatory requirements have, for example, like different Langfuse projects or different Langfuse instances or organizations for different environments, where then it's interesting to shuffle prompts between different Langfuse projects, which is usually not natively supported. So we want to do like in-UI export imports. If you need this today, you can do this via the SDKs, and some teams sync prompts across projects today, but there's something that we want to build. And then data platform, I already showed you the webhooks that are now available for prompt management, and we want to roll them out for traces, data sets, and more admin events. So you can like listen to what's going on within Langfuse and then react to fire evals, do some notifications, do alerting, and use this also for in-app routing. So if a trace comes in with this kind of score, then add it to an annotation queue, these kinds of things. An extension of this would be like more metric threshold-based alerts, which is more on the ambitious side of our roadmap. And for Langfuse Cloud specifically, we'll add usage-based billing alerts, just to be able to keep a closer tab on basically usage if your application scales out. So you get like an early notification about from us when usage scales. Yeah, this was like a quick rundown. Langfuse.com/roadmap. You can always have a look. And if you have any feedback, let's discuss now during the Q&A of this call. And like if there's anything that comes up async, please always take it to Langfuse.com/ideas or GitHub discussions to reach out to the maintainers and share your thoughts and ideas. I'll try to share my slides again. Yes, we thought we continue the one more thing thingy because it was fun last time. Because something big is coming to like Langfuse documentation. This week, like all maintainers do basically one large improvement week of all of the small paper cuts that we want to cut out, where we have, I think we even have like two things to share. One is we just want to make it easier to understand all of the different features within Langfuse, both within the product and within the documentation. So the documentation, the product now has this like segmented navigation section with only a single level. In the past, there was like 2-level kind of like navigation, which was pretty complicated. Now it's just like a single level. And for example, for traces, switching between traces and observations here in this tab section. But for example, elements judge or human annotation is just directly available by the main menu without like needing another click. And it's easier to group them here within these sections. So this is released already. And then we have like a whole big PR going on that we are working on the documentation. So what's coming is that all of the Langfuse features will be grouped also here to make it way easier to sift through all of them, to learn about how evals work, how prompt management work, how the observability section works. So yeah, this is like a way cleaned up version of our documentation. We aim to get to like 90% of this week. So probably it will land either this week or next week. Yeah, because documentation in the end, documentation is a big part of our product. Again, we are hiring in Berlin across like engineering roles and on developer advocacy, if that's your thing. So Berlin, San Francisco, Berlin in all engineering and developer advocacy in Berlin and San Francisco. So feel free to reach out if you're interested. Would love to hear from you. And yeah, thanks again. Like all of this only happens because all of you, all of the great discussions on GitHub, Discord regarding the roadmap, all of the contributions to GitHub issues, and GitHub discussions and the detailed bug reports, because in the end, weeding out bugs is a core piece of us being like a reliable project in the space. And now I want to open it up for Q&A and just go through everything that might be interesting. I'll go quickly through the chat because there were like 2-3 questions there, and then let's use, there are a couple of more questions. And then let's use the like Q&A tooling by Google Meet. So here again, quick how this works. And you can also always like unmute yourself. Just be sure you'll be part of the recording, which we'll upload to YouTube. There's a question by Anki who asks whether the webhook feature will be extended to metrics, evals. Yes, this is planned. As mentioned, we will extend webhooks to notifications for traces, scores, and observations, like rule-based. So you can define a filter which kind of like score or trace you want to be notified about. This is really like the next step on the roadmap for webhooks. And then we want to look into like threshold-based alerting on metrics. This is a bit more intricate at scale, but the like filter-based alerts are on the pretty near-term roadmap. Will deep eval library be added as metrics provider, just as the Ragas library? Is a question by Marc Kumar. Generally, Langfuse, how do I explain this in the best way? Like the value of Langfuse is not the evaluation library, but that we execute these evals for you. Meaning these are just examples to get started. So you can like start with some context relevance eval from the get-go. But if you like any eval, you can just like copy paste any elements judge evaluation prompt here. If the evaluation library is open source, just go to the GitHub repo and look for the evaluation prompt, paste it into this. So I don't know, is this message offensive? Offensive message. And like one sentence reasoning for the scores, score between 0 and score 0 or 1, score 0 if false, and 1 if true or positive. So this is how easy it is to do like a very simple elements judge. Like you probably want a few shot with examples and make this a bit more like expand a bit on this eval. But you can create like your own evaluation. And if you have any library that you like that uses Elm as a judge, you can basically copy paste evaluation prompts into Langfuse and let Langfuse execute them for you. So there's no need for like a deeper integration with lots of evaluation frameworks. Then Jesse, for the saved views and tables, could these be URL params in the future so that the current filter state is always shareable without having to save a named view? Yes, this was available already. So by default, all filters within Langfuse should be persisted within the URL. So for example, if we go here, tracing and filter by, what did we do? I think one was like environment. Environment is like a custom filter in this table. So for example, take name any of QA, then here in the URL, we can see that this is traces with filter name, string options the type, any of QA. So we serialize the filters. So yeah, this was available already. So you can always just like copy paste the URL, which includes the filters. The saved table filters are just like a way to not needing to kind of like bookmark them or share them somewhere with your team. This is like a simpler way to bookmark these filters that you use a lot. Then next question, like whenever this doesn't answer your question, please just like add to the Q&A. Then Nelson asks, are there plans to support tool calling over experiments in a data set and evals on tools called? Yeah, two things. One, basically tool calls as part of prompt experiments. So meaning when you use Langfuse to benchmark a prompt on a data set, I want to expand support for tool calls, functions, and structured output. This is on the like near-term roadmap, and you can already find it on langfuse.com/roadmap, which I just showed. Then evals on tools called. This is in the group of basically agentic evals that we want to release. You can do this today as you have full access to the overall like trace objects and the inputs and outputs of the LLM calls. So you can write these evals today and do this. But we want to be more opinionated about this, write guides on it, and share how this works in the best way possible, and then also allow for like evaluating more of the trajectory of the trace. So giving you like the trace tree of which kinds of tools were called across multiple reasoning loops, so you can actually like look at the whole trace tree and then make a judgment of whether this was a good like tool call or like trajectory and evaluate this. Nelson's second question was experimenting with reasoning budget for Claude 4 in Playground. Yes, this is like the big thing regarding model provider or model specific parameters within Playground prompt experiments. Yes, this is coming. Near-term roadmap. This is on our list of improvements to basically infer the list of available parameters based on models and model connections, and then expose them within prompt experiments. And Playground currently, it's just temperature, total token count, and top K. So yeah, we want to extend this more flexibly to all sorts of parameters that you want to customize. Then Tega asks about a feature request on GitHub. Let's have a look what this is. So this is run prompt experiment with structured output and tool instruction. Yes, as mentioned, this is on the short-term roadmap for prompt experiments and already are on langfuse.com/roadmap. Then P asks, there are bugs in Langfuse. Whenever we release something, like there's always like some edge case where there can be bugs in Langfuse. If you find bugs, please open a new issue on GitHub and share this with us. We are very eager to like reproduce these bugs and then fix them. So like bug reports via GitHub really drive the like reliability of Langfuse. So, you haven't seen any so far. This is great. Yeah, being like this project exists for 2 years. So thank everyone else on this call who has been around for longer, who has submitted bug reports in the past and contributed massively to the reliability of Langfuse, because like by supporting like hundreds of integrations and tracing types, like some of you will have run into nasty bugs. Thank you so much for raising bug reports, as these really make Langfuse reliable for everyone. Like P, who now joined and finds Langfuse to be extremely reliable. Very happy about this comment. Then let's jump into the Q&A section. Anonymous asks, what improvements would be coming for evals? Is there finally a log props-based score calculation? Currently, log prop-based score calculation is not on the short-term roadmap. I'll take this back to the evaluation lead within like the group of maintainers to discuss whether there could be like something easy that we can support. Like the main thing with log props was so far that they are exposed in like very different ways by different model vendors, different like APIs, that basically having like standardized support that then works, that just works no matter which LLMs you use, was a bit tricky. But yeah, this is something I will take offline and take back to the team. Let's see whether log props evals, whether there is like an open, is there like an open discussion for this? I don't think so. Like the like as you're anonymous here, the best way would be if you create like a new idea thread on langfuse.com/ideas on GitHub. Thereby, one, like the core maintainer of Langfuse evals can get back to you, and two, we can notify you once this is available. Otherwise, like as you're anonymous here, this will be really hard. So if you can open like GitHub ideas thread on this, this would be amazing, because there doesn't seem to exist one yet. So one, this is good, and two, we can notify you. Then Juan asks, sorry if this was asked already, I was late. Will Cloud Langfuse support Open Web UI again in the future? Will it probably be written, updated since the old one broke? Thank you so much for reporting. This is on top of our list of issues that we want to get through this week. Like there's someone who already looks into this. Unfortunately, like I have myself fixed the Open Web UI pipeline a couple of times. Open Web UI changes, and then always this pipeline changes. If you are interested in debugging and fixing it, I think the team is extremely happy about like community contributions on this. But if this is not fixed by any kind of contribution in the meantime, like there will probably be someone looking into this week or early next week, because support for Open Web UI is important. For everyone else, Open Web UI is like a UI similar to like ChatGPT on top of LLMs. The main teams use self-hosted, amazing product, and but they use like a filters logic within the filter, basically like it's like an input-output pipe to then emit the traces to Langfuse, and this sometimes breaks. So we'll have a look in order to fix this. Yeah, Juan, if like the vibe coded fix, yeah, okay, if you're great that you've already tried, then we'll have a look why this broke and how we can fix it. Great. Looking at the time, we still have 12 minutes. If there's anything you want to know or anything where I can help, feel free to unmute yourself or ask more questions in the chat. Otherwise, I would give it like another minute for everyone to like think about questions, ideas, things they want to discuss, or we can wrap up early.
I did have a question. I'm not sure what the step is here, if I needed to raise my hands or whatever, so pardon my rudeness. Just wanted to confirm with the structured outputs plan coming out, will it be mainly for experiments, or this would also be in the prompt editor?
This is like a great question, because this is a specific detail about this, why this is not already rolled out. We have like a two-step plan to bring this to prompt experiments. One will be, most likely we will like rework this kind of whole flow, as it's pretty complicated right now. So we want to make it easier. And most likely we will first add like support for tool calls and structured output as part of like the prompt experimentation setup. And then we'll most likely add like a Langfuse specific abstraction over tools and structured output within prompt management. Like the tricky aspect here is that like prompt management is very generic. It should work with all sorts of LLMs, and like how tools and structured output work, especially like the instruction how to use tools like Do you need to always use one? Can you only call one? Can you do like parallelism? And the tool definition, like there are like some slight nuances between model vendors. So we currently, like there are like two options to support this. One, we support like the vendor specific syntax, but then the prompt needs to be basically scoped to a vendor. Or two, we will introduce some abstraction that can then be translated into the model and vendor specific like syntax. We don't know yet. This is like why we hold off so far, to have enough time to investigate this. Like bringing this to these experiments is pretty easy because we already have an abstraction that works and that we can use in the playground, where Langfuse stores tools also server-side, where you can add new tools and the definition. But these basically then use like a single translation layer for all models. But if you store them on prompts, then basically, I mean, we are in your critical path. It's not like a UI feature, but it's something that you want to use in code within your application without things breaking. So yeah, that's why we want to dive deeper. If you have like opinions on this, there are like a couple of GitHub discussion threads. Please add like any thoughts or like design that you would suggest. If there's something where you have like strong opinions, we'd love to know, to make sure that when we release this is aligned with your ideas and requirements.
Sure. Is there a link on where I can find these discussions?
Let me look. Prompt experiment, prompt tool. I'm just searching in the discussions. Structured. I think it's like a good one, probably. There's one here on structured output. I'll just put it here in the chat. And there's a big one. And then probably there's like another on tool in prompt management. Okay, I think a tool functional tool is, yeah, I think here's one. Perfect. I think there will be like a couple of these threads that are related, but these were the two that were pretty highly rated and upvoted with lots of comments going on already. Like if you can have a look through these discussions and then just add comments if you have any where you feel like your requirements or ideas are different, this would be super helpful. Awesome. Then Anki asked like a new question of course, we've seen Langfuse has added its own document MCP server. Owner of the team wants to explore integrating with fast MCP project to help test integrate with MCP servers as part of the playground tracing. I'm not familiar with fast MCP. Can you maybe explain what fast MCP is?
So it's a project for, it's kind of a like partly the official MCP project utilized by the Python SDK of the Anthropic, well, the official MCP server. It's basically just a, it might be pretty much advanced implementation of all those new specs and so on. So we have been using it for like creating an MCP server as well as clients. It's basically trying to ask, I was trying to ask whether Langfuse team wants to make this whole, but essentially to me, MCP and tool call is probably the same. But in terms of testing and tracing, do we want to make some changes or follow-ups on this trending side of development?
It seems like it could be cool. With MCP, I think the standard IO transport and like the local packages are like a bit difficult to support within Langfuse prompt management or prompt experiments, because then we would need to somehow like run your like custom MCP servers. However, the like streamable HTTP and SSE transport also gain a lot of traction, and fast MCP looks like a wrapper around like fast API. I think I've even seen like someone from the like core Langfuse stream using fast MCP today, because I remember someone building an MCP server with this MCP decorator in Python. So generally, I mean, our documentation MCP server also uses streamable HTTP, and like whether to support MCP tools in the Langfuse background. I think this could be really interesting to add MCP support there. If you are interested in this, I think like creating like a GitHub idea thread on this with some sort of like spec or suggestion would be super helpful, because then we can align on ideas and like make some iterations on this together. I think running like MCP servers that need like a package to be run within Langfuse is a bit more involved. So I think the HTTP or SSE, like these kinds of transports probably are like a better fit. Then Shiv asks, I wonder if this is resolved. Let me have a look. Data set run on Anthropic Cloud. Google Gemini produces 4.0. Is this, Shiv, is this erroring for you right now?
I haven't tried it recently, but I can definitely check and see.
Okay.
But this is a problem I had recently.
If yes, this is currently, let me see, what was it? It's like an open bug. Who is it assigned to? I can ping the maintainer who owns this bug to, like I see she hasn't followed up with you here yet. I will ping her to see what her stance on this is, and because usually, I mean, this is from June 16th. I mean, this pretty. Wait, no, this is not pretty new. This is like a month. Okay, yeah, I'll ping her. Sorry. Generally on bugs, there should be like way better response times than this. Thanks so much for reaching out and pinging me regarding this.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, usually we have like a process which I think is quite decent to like triage and prioritize bugs, but it seems to not have worked here. So I'll have a look. Very sorry. Okay, there are more questions within Q&A. Alex asks, have you considered a VS Code extension more for marketing than a lot of new functionality? Microsoft keeps pushing new different AI extensions on me that I haven't had time to check out, but it seems like devs looking for tracing evals might look into their stuff first, missing out on Langfuse. Interesting. I mean, generally, you could expose any developer tool interface via a VS Code extension. The question is, like, why would I like for traces? Like a lot of the Langfuse UI has like is very dense and has lots of information. If I only have the space of like a VS Code extension, this is pretty minimal. I think one thing that I'm very excited about is adding like an MCP server also for traces, evals, experiments. They can have your like favorite code agent like Cloud Code, Copilot or Cursor work with the Langfuse data to then make iterations, fix issues. But this is less of an extension than more of like an MCP server where I see like real value. Like Alex, if you have like an idea of like an interface that you find useful within VS Code, let me know. I've seen some people screen share like some of the Microsoft extensions. I haven't seen someone using them yet, so I don't know. Like if there's something you find interesting, I'd be really interested.
I haven't started using them. I'm just seeing them pop up, and I think you should be aware and consider what they're up to. I'll take a look, just and let you know if I find anything that might be useful for you guys.
Thank you so much for thinking about us there, because in the end, I mean, one, we want to build the most advanced product that's super open, where you can build around the core like Langfuse data layer for like advanced use cases. But also, I mean, two, the like it's important that Langfuse is easy to use and discoverable for new teams who have these issues for the project to grow, because a lot of its relevance, integrations, and robustness comes from the size of the community. So yeah, thanks so much. I think this seems super valid. If there's some example you can share, would love to have a look. And also I'll have a look into what they've been up to regarding like LM tooling within VS Code directly. P commented, I want an extension that lets me look at Langfuse prompts inside of my IDE without having to go and pull them up in the browser. Oh, this is super valid. Like we already have a Langfuse prompt MCP server, but it's more of a beta compared to the Docs MCP server. And now recently we exposed the prompts via webhooks, where we now want to add like some documentation on how to sync them to GitHub, to like your repository, to, for example, have like a GitHub action that then receives these webhooks and persists prompts as like a hard copy of the state within Langfuse for persistence and version control. So this is coming, but I totally see how like browsing prompts and in VS Code is interesting to then make sure that the like names actually exist, or see which versions are out there, directly open like a deep link, or maybe it could even be like some intelligence of if you have the name within get prompt, you can like command click on them to open the prompt within Langfuse to see like some intelligence hovercard. Yeah, I have never built a VS Code extension before, and also the rest of the team hasn't. I think this could be like a cool hackathon project to build like an interface that just uses the Langfuse API to bring prompt management into VS Code. If anyone is interested in like a community contribution to get this out as like probably it's like a one-day project to build something here, like super happy to support if someone is interested in building this. Otherwise, this is probably like we're currently planning like an offset with the team where we do some fun projects together. Maybe there's something that that makes the cut, and we'll build like a VS Code plugin. Never done this. I think with code generation agents, it probably has never been easier to build one. Awesome. We have like this call is now 61 minutes. We started 5 minutes late, so we have another 4 if there are any like other questions that come up. So the chat is all good. The Q&A tool is all good. Seems like we are good to go. This was great. We will share the recording of this session on YouTube. So if someone from your team or friends want to see the latest releases or have a look into like the explanation of the roadmap, this will be shareable probably today or tomorrow. And yeah, can't wait for the town hall next quarter. If you have any feedback, questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to us via GitHub discussions or via the direct support channels if you're Langfuse like cloud or enterprise customer. And yeah, can't wait for next quarter. I'm very excited. I think both agents, the like multimodality support across features, more of the like JS SDK on OpenTelemetry. Like I'm very, very excited about the roadmap as it's so aligned with all of the feedback that we get all the time. And it's like a very clear path of how to increase like value of Langfuse, make it even more robust. So yeah, I'm super excited. If there's any feedback that you have, always ping me. I really want to learn from you to shape the roadmap together with the rest of the team. And otherwise, like enjoy your day, enjoy your evening, night, wherever you are, and see you next time. Bye-bye.